ADBN, Advocate Broadcasting Network.
Hello, and welcome to another beautiful episode of Softline. I'm Nancy Banigo, and with me today, I have Esther. Esther, how are you? Oh, Queen. How will I even remove the Queen? Hi, Queen Esther.
Yes, Nancy.
How have you been?
I've been good, and you?
I'm fine, thank you. So, Esther, tell us what's up. Yesterday you missed our chit chat. Today, God catch you. So tell us what's up.
Okay. I've just been good, trying to, work out to keep myself fit.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Seriously?
I just need to keep my shape, keep myself fit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's a nice thing trying to keep fit.
Yeah.
So what's your take on jungle justice? I saw a story this morning of what happened in Abuja yesterday, where I don't have the full details yet, but these guys were caught because they caused an accident.
Whoa.
This road, forgotten what they call them, but this Aguero, So they tried to stop a family of 3 in a car that stopped somewhere they were not supposed to stop. But unfortunately, their actions led to the accident that killed this family of 3. And then the people who came, the mob that came at that first instance, took it upon themselves, to melt out justice on this Aberos, they call them
the area boys,
And so they killed them and set them all ablaze.
That is really sad, Nancy.
And so my question now is, somebody did something. We have 3 deaths already. People are not even thinking about those ones, how to to mourn those ones. You are giving us more tragedy, more tragedy by killing these other persons. What happened to taking them to the police? So we keep hearing this jungle justice. Every now and then we keep hearing jungle justice. Sometimes when you hear stories about jungle justice, you will say, oh, they deserve it, especially when you catch armed robbers, because when these robbers are robbing their victims, they don't have mercy, on them. So when they are being caught like that, people tend to do unto them just like the way they do unto their victims. So what's your take on jungle justice? Do you think is the right way to go, regardless of the what they call it now, the offense committed by the victims?
Well, I think no matter the offense that the offender has committed, nobody has the right
to take
laws into their hands. Whenever you have someone perpetrating a crime, either willfully or maybe by mistake, on unintended crime, just like what happened. The touts tried stopping this family and then it led to their death. The right thing to be done is to hand them over
to the
authorities, yes, without taking laws into one's hands. Because if we don't start doing the right thing, it will continue. People take out such measures to ease themselves of the pain, particularly the loved ones of the family that perished because of that incident. They feel if these ones are brought to book immediately through jungle justice, they will find relief. They will be happier that they have paid an eye for an eye. Okay, but the law does not support that. So I think as a people, we should refrain from jungle justice. It only ends up worsening the matter. It doesn't solve the problem. In the end, you end up having more casualties. So that's my take on that.
All right, Esther. I was just thinking of ways in which we can try to stop jungle justice because people seem not to be listening. No, but especially when it happens. Have you ever been in a situation where something is being done and
Yes.
you've been there
Yes,
before?
I have seen where
Where
a
they
thief,
start to
someone
beat.
stole something, and then the next, before you say jack, they've put a tire, a car tire on the person. They've poured fuel, then they've set the person ablaze.
And sometimes, most of times, these people, these victims or these people they set ablaze, you end up finding that they are quite innocent. Sometimes they are victims of circumstance. People shout thief, thief, and then things like that. At least I watched one movie once upon a time where somebody was killed innocently. He just found himself at the wrong place at the wrong time.
Wow.
And so they took it out on him and killed him. So
Jungle justice can actually be, through awareness creation.
Okay.
Yes, if people are aware of the gravity of that offense, I think they will refrain or hold their peace.
Is it the people are aware? I think there should be some sort of punishment for those who carry out this jungle justice thing.
I believe the law covers that. There is provision for that.
Absolutely. By the time you begin to get those people, fish them out from the society, and give them some form of punishment, probably to retire others from taking that, towing that line. All right, so relationships are the foundation of our lives. And sibling relationships are some of the most significant ones we have. As AI Singer so beautifully put it, siblings are the people we practice on, the people who teach us about fairness and cooperation and kindness and caring. So on today's episode of Softline, we'll discuss the value of sibling bonding and provide insight on how to strengthen this relationship. So joining us for this important discussion is Nkpouto Inyang. She's a proactive life and parenting coach. So let's get started. Nkpouto, how are you doing?
I'm doing great.
You're welcome to the show. It's been a long while we had you on this table. Haven't you missed us?
I have.
All right, Nkpouto, welcome.
Thank you.
So we're discussing siblings. I'm sure every one of us here, we have siblings. And so we understand what it means to have a good relationship with our siblings. So we're talking about sibling bonding because we've seen a lot of crises when it comes to sibling. This sibling disagreement. There are sibling crises that had, when you think about, you begin to wonder, these people, are they from the same womb? Are they actually siblings? So we want to talk about how siblings can have that good bonding, that good relationship, So when we talk about sibling bonding, how does it come across to you?
Well, I think that siblings bonding, it's the foundation of, I think the family is the smallest unit of the church of the world, of everything we even enjoy. Everything starts from the family. So if the family is okay, the society will be fine.
Absolutely.
If the family is fine, the church will be fine. If the family is fine, the world will be fine. So I believe that family is the foundation of everything. Thereby, if there is siblings bonding, then the society will be better. If there is siblings rivalry, it will also showcase in the society. So I think it's a major thing that we should put up in our homes, in our families. It should be encouraged, the bonding, I mean.
Okay.
It should be encouraged. Parents should do all they can to ensure that siblings bond. Although I know that siblings scrabble, you can't evit it totally. But then, in the midst of the scrabbles, that bonding should exist.
And how do we create this bond between siblings? I know some comes naturally, but when there are no natural ones, how do you nurture, a great bond between siblings?
Okay, I think that bonding comes with its own conflict. It has strategies. Okay, for instance, family traditions can bring bonding.
Okay.
You know that I actually come from a family that was so large because my mother would adopt children here and there, bring them home. So you are always in the midst of 20-something people. And you can't just sleep alone in one room. 20-something people, how many rooms do you have to, get for everybody? So you see yourself with 6-7 people, maybe when the night is starting. And by the time you wake up in the morning, you're up to 8 in the room. Wow. And you know that it is impossible to live with this number of people without having little issues here and there. So somehow in the process of different family traditions, bonding is built. For example, cooking together, going to farm together. I would remember back then when we go to fetch water and we are like 10 to 12 people going together. You know what that means? Our bigger boys will fight for us. And it's until we finish fetching the water before any other person can fetch. So somehow you are excited every morning. We want to fetch water, you have to go because of all of that. So sometimes it comes with the family tradition when you are growing up. And I think also mentorship, you know, in the process of the family, there are some that will grow, will be older, some will be younger. So mentorship can also bring the bond. I would remember my elder sister teaching me about my periods, my menstrual cycle when they came, teaching me so many things, how to have my bath properly. My mommy was a business person, so she ensured that there was somebody to do that. So somehow that's brought a bond. So if I ever had an issue and my mother was not present, then my sister was stepping.
All right. Esther, you want to come in?
Wow, that's interesting. Okay. I know that when you have very many people or persons like that in the house, it is fun. Christmas periods, festive periods, yeah. But then it has its implications, right? Financial implications and otherwise. Are there other things that you want to share, you know, throw more light into other than financial implication and all of that?
Okay, so talking about financial implication, I think when we got into the university, I would see my mother, you know, she's giving people transport and she's like, you take, you take, you take. And I kept looking at her every day and she was doing that on daily basis. I think that brought empathy and I kept looking at her. I said, no, we cannot continue to do this. I had to look for what to do to support. And other of my siblings, one way or the other, found a way to also help.
Augment.
So sometimes bonding can come when empathy is involved, when compassion is involved, when you look at your siblings and say, no, I can't let my siblings suffer, and then you work towards helping.
Was there any point in time where a particular sibling felt he or she is less loved or given a smaller share or something that sparked an outrage or something?
Yes, obviously I think it will happen. It will happen somehow if parents are not careful. And again, it also depends on how parents see the strength and the weakness of every child. Okay, so if you have a child who is always sick, naturally, you will care for that child more. But if the children in the house do not understand that the reason why you are giving more attention to this child is this, now that envy can come up. Again, one mistake that African parents make is that they usually tend to praise the most cognitive in their house, which is a very bad thing, is a no-no. Because I believe that every child has his own strength. That I'm not good academically does not mean that I'm not good in something else.
Right.
So most parents usually, you know, encourage the person who came first, you'll be praised, and the person who did not do well, all the time, you'll be compared. But the Bible says those that compare themselves with others are fools. So we are not supposed to compare. We are supposed to understand that we are unique in our ways. So that also can bring about rivalry or envy over time.
All right, so we know, just like you said, where 2 or 3 persons are gathered, there's bound to be conflict. There's bound to be conflict in the family among siblings. Now, as a parent, as a coach, how do you advise parents to handle such conflicts among siblings?
Handling conflicts among siblings, I think it starts with teaching your children compassion, empathy, and then forgiveness. People don't know how to forgive. So forgiveness is a major fact in bonding amongst friends, in the society. The Bible says offenses will always come. You cannot live without offenses. You need to know how to handle those situations when they come. Because as much as we are human beings, there's no perfect person on earth. So when people step on you, how do you handle it? These are things that we are supposed to be taught in our homes. But somehow, We have become so busy that we don't teach our children these things. It's about the moral life, how to build your character. So that wherever you find yourself, there's an adage in my place that they say that character is like pregnancy, it doesn't hide. So everywhere you go, it will show. So children are supposed to be taught how to forgive, the right way to forgive, because your sibling will always hurt you. When that happens, how do you express disagreement? How do you communicate your feelings without disrespect and then forgiving easily? So these are the things we can do to ensure that the bonding still exists, even when there are differences.
That's a tough one, I must say, because I have seen siblings, when they have this conflict, even the parents become confused. You do not know how to handle this, especially when they are adults. So, you know, when they are still kids, you can exercise your power and say, you sit here and you sit here. But when they become grown-ups, it's a tough one. It's a tough one.
I think the foundation of all of this is loving God and loving humanity. If you can love humanity and you can love God, then it's easy to resolve any kind of conflict. You know, because you cannot really love another person if you don't love God. If you don't fear him, you can't. Because people will dare you. People will tempt you. Even our children. Sometimes I just look at the way children behave. My own children, they will test you and bring out the worst in you. So the thing that should always be on the back of our minds is, if God should be standing right in front of me, what would my decision be? That should guide our principles. It should guide our decisions. It should even guide our lives. It will guide the way you behave. If God was right there, what would my decision be?
I agree with you, but I'm just looking for practical tips, you understand? You know, okay, let's take for instance now. If a friend offends you, you can easily, to hell with this person, after all, I don't have any business with you. Now, if a sibling does the same thing,
and you cannot discipline your sibling.
You can't discipline your sibling. So what would you then do?
You talk it out. There should be that form of communication. In my home, we have family meetings once a month. So I think it's a tradition that should be built over time. Talk it out. If the Bible says, if somebody hurts you, go talk to the person. If the person doesn't hear, go with somebody. If that person cannot help, take the person to the elders of the church. So I think that family traditions will help. Let's have a family meeting once in a month, not just to celebrate or whenever there's an occasion, but let it be a place to resolve conflicts also. So sometimes if you try to talk with a sibling and the sibling seems difficult, then you can go to an elder sister, elder brother, uncle or auntie. And if the sibling doesn't still want that, then you can come to the family meeting, maybe once a month, and then you try to solve it. Because I mean, you cannot disabling your sibling. They will always be there. Somehow along the line, that is a great support system that God has created for us. So it's communication. I think it's mandatory in bonding. You should be able to tell somebody, the way you said it, it really hurt. You shouldn't have said it like that. And, you know, response also matter. There's a way you approach issues, and the way the person responded or reacted might make the matters worse. So communication, emotional intelligence is very important also, because sometimes in this part of the world, we always believe that the older ones are always right, even when they know that they are wrong, you know. But when you have emotional intelligence, even when the older one is trying to ride on you and you know that it's your right, then you can actually, you know what to do. You know how to put things right, and then the communication flow can go.
All right, Esther, you want to go?
Okay, can you share some strategies parents can deploy to ensure the children bond from a tender stage? Because if we wait until they are adult, it may be too late, like Nancy rightly said. So what are those steps that parents can take to ensure that the children bond beyond the home front? I've seen siblings go to school and fight, quarrel in public, fight in the neighborhood, and all of that. What are those steps? How can parents start when they are still at home, so that when they grow, they will never outgrow that training?
Okay, the first thing there is teamwork.
Okay.
Whatever you want them to do, for example, chores is very important. That will help. Okay, we have let's say we are looking at a 2-bedroom flat and you have 3 children. Let one sweep one, the other one will sweep one, and then together the whole house will be clean. If you are cooking in the kitchen, let them be involved. Who is handling the pepper? Who is handling the crayfish? Who is handling this and that?
Teamwork.
Over time, what you think is chore will bring about that unity because there's always teamwork involved. And then because they are children, those squabbles will always exist. How you handle it when they're growing up as children will really help.
Okay.
When the younger one is the one looking for trouble and then crying loudest, as the mother, what do? Do you just come out without listening to both parties? You take a decision because the smaller one is crying, because smaller children do that. They will look for trouble and then they will scream and you come out and beat the person who was not at fault. So when they have conflict, how you solve it will determine how they will grow up, even in your absence, how they can solve their own conflict. So there are some situations where you can bring up the children to a point where sometimes you step back and see how they handle their conflict. There are some children that when they have problems, they won't talk to each other for days. But naturally, it's in the heart of a child that when they have problems right now, after a while, they're playing together again. So that helps. How did they solve that problem to play together? That is the skill that should be developed and children should be trained with over time.
All right. What other parts of the community or organization do you think can also support parents in this? Because sometimes you hear things like older siblings are quarreling, having issues over property, landed property, houses, and all of that. And then they never get to see each other eyeball to eyeball because they're fighting over a property. So how do you think the community and which part of the community can also join in supporting this subject matter we're talking about, sibling rivalry, to ensure that there is peace even in the society at large?
I think the religious bodies we have, the church, the mosque, everywhere that we gather, the fellowships and all of that. And I also think our school system, the school system, in fact, I think the children are more in the school now. So again, in the classroom, let's look at the classroom as another smaller family unit. How do they relate with classmates? When they hurt one another, how does the teacher solve that problem? So that also can help. And then when it becomes a property issue, a community issue, a landed issue, we can talk about the arbitrary courts, whereby that's a local court, the chiefs come in and all of that. And sometimes it can go as far as to the real court. But with properties, I think if the parents are learned enough and you know your children, how you train them, you don't need to wait to die before you create a will. You can create a will. In the process, Moses was sharing the properties. He was not dead. He was telling Joshua, when you go, this family owns this one owns this, and all of that. So I don't know, maybe it's not our culture, but I think if you have properties and you want to share it amongst your siblings, when they become adults and they have married, don't wait until you are dying. Give it to them. Let them start managing it under your watch while you are alive.
And do you think it's also very important for parents to bring this kind of education home? Because even when some parents write their will, one of the kids will say, no, I don't like the house in New York. I prefer the one in Abuja. And they still fight over that one. Despite the fact that the child still has something to himself. He's saying, I don't like this one. I need the other one. And they keep fighting.
That's discontentment.
Do you think such education should be brought back to the house
by
important. Parents, educating their children in advance about such issues?
Yes, it's very, very important. In fact, I came from a polygamous family, so I totally understand where you are coming from. It's very, very important. And I believe in my own case, my daddy died before the will even came out. So, and imagine a family of 4 wives and many children. So it was wonderful.
Wonderful.
So I think that you should educate your children. And I also think that you don't need to wait till you die. Let these children do this thing while you are still strong. Let everybody know that Mr. A owns this, is managing it, and will manage it even when I die. Mr. B manages this. So then everybody can be at peace. You won't, the father will not die and then you hear all of those things because we already knew where everybody stands. So that will help.
Nice. And the story of you coming from a polygamous home, it's a tough one. It's a tough one because I saw the word polygamy was really trending. People were like saying, polygamous home, is this the way to go? There were so many talks about polygamy. I was even thinking we should have a topic on that polygamy thing. So now coming from that angle, parents, sometimes we have siblings who are much older than the others, and there is no way you can treat them equally. So I see some mothers especially, they are in a fix when trying to, manage squabbles between siblings, the older ones and the younger ones. So do you have any, advice for parents who find themselves in that kind of situation? How to handle it?
So I like to share my story. So my mother had a baby when I just finished secondary school. Wow. Okay, the baby was, I think, in nursery school while I just finished secondary school.
Oh.
And what my mother did was handed over, I love children, so handed over the child to me.
Oh, so
mentorship. So now, when my younger sister was graduating from secondary school, that was the first time that school knew the real mother of that child.
Wow.
They always thought that I was a mother of my sister. So now what did that help me do? I was my sister's first mother. It helped me to understand how children behave, helped me to understand how to deal with homework when I didn't have a child. So now, when you have a very big child and then a younger child, I think at some point the mother should step aside and give the older one opportunity to learn with that child. That will help limit the problem. When you have your own thing, you don't fight with it. But when two people, when you know that these two things are owned by different people, then you can fight over the other one. I want my position, I want my position. But how did I see this, my child? In fact, my mother gave birth to the child and handed over to me. I was very excited.
That's a very
I would have
smart way.
Yes, I would have treated her differently if my mother was relating with us as siblings. Maybe some of those things, if she was coming and if she didn't do her homework, why didn't she do this? So everything concerning that child, if they ask her, she'll say, go and ask your mother. So, I now saw it as my responsibility and I was happy about it. My sister's water bottle, her food, everything. I wake up early in the morning excited. I will bath her, drop her in school. I was very happy, yes. And then I will go, when I'm preparing for her visiting, you see me in the market, I'm very busy. What are you busying about, my sister? But I used to call her my first daughter. So when she was to get married, I told the husband, I said, do you know that is my first daughter?
Wow.
And now the funny thing is that she's bigger than I am.
Wow.
But I think that really helped.
Okay.
So I didn't see her as she wasn't like
a rival.
Yes, a rival. Yes, but we actually bonded. Exactly. And then when she has issues, I'm the first person she will call. This is the situation, this is the situation. So somehow that mentorship bonded us.
That's a nice way to go about it. I'm sure a lot of persons listening will agree with me. Now, let's talk about parents. There's this saying that you can't love your children equally. There's always some favoritism. You favor this one. Now you understand the reason why you do those things, right? Now, how do you explain to siblings among them that, okay, this is the reason we treat this person like this. This is the reason we treat this person like, without making it obvious, making the problems obvious, because sometimes in trying to explain, you might bring out these problems that will make others mock this one. You understand what I'm trying to say? So how do you conceal these things and then make it look normal for the siblings?
Okay. I would think that you don't even need to explain.
Okay.
As a mother, somehow you will always have that child that will save you the most. And naturally, you will fall in love with that child.
Now, that's the love. How do you hide it?
You will hide it too. You have to learn how to hide it. So how do you hide it? This is what my mother did. Somehow I got very close to my mother. And we are 4 or 5 living in Uyo. She was living in Calabar.
Okay.
So when she is coming to Uyo, it's my husband that will go pick her up.
Oh.
Naturally, because we were close, she would want to come and stay with me so that we gist. What would my mother do? she will take time and cook her afang soup and put it in different plates. So she has 5 families in Uyo. She will put it in 5 different plates.
Okay.
So we'll go around and drop in each house. At the end, we'll take her home.
Really?
With the mindset that I was the one that went to Calabar to carry her. If you want her, go to Calabar and also carry her. So somehow, I think there is a way to manage it.
Okay.
Although sometimes you might not really manage it, because naturally, when the people that save you the most, you get closer to them. It's just natural.
Of course. All right. So we're still discussing sibling bonding. We're talking about ways to keep that relationship intact. Let's take a few tweets now before we come back to our guest. And our first tweet here is from Tony Tone. And she said, building a strong relationship with your sibling isn't that different from building one with friends. It requires efforts. Simply being related isn't enough to create true closeness. Spend time with them, actively bond, communicate frequently, ask for updates, create memories. And then our next tweet says, guys, we have to intentionally befriend our siblings. Too many of us leave that relationship to chance. You know, the fact that we share a womb, does not guarantee kinship. Sadly, don't take this for granted. Don't become strangers who merely share a surname. Befriend your sibling. Okay, sorry about that. Let's see. Our next tweet is sibling relationship outlast marriage. Survive the death of parents. Resurface after quarrels that would sink any friendship. They flourish in thousand incarnation of closeness and distance, warmth, royalty, and distrust. I don't know, I keep getting this call interrupting the whole thing. Well, all the way, that's the tweets. And I don't know, Nkpouto, would you want to react to any of them? Just, they're all talking about how important sibling bonding is, you know. And there's this one that I think I like, the last one. They're talking about how a sibling can survive every, you know, like you have a friend, like I said earlier, when you have a friend and then you have some misunderstanding with your friend, you can let it go. But when you have your problems with your sibling, you just have to look for ways to resolve it, you know, and all that. So would you want to react to any of the tweets?
Okay, I think I want to talk about being actively involved.
Okay.
That caught my attention. How can we be actively involved with our siblings? When they have challenges, how do you respond? You know, like my little sister I was telling you about, when she had her first baby, and then she said, she just called me and said, she doesn't know there's a way the baby is breathing. I couldn't drop the phone. I was wearing my slippers and I was rushing to her house, you know.
Wow.
And I got there, I realized the baby had a bronchi infection that blocked the baby from breathing well. And I said, you're still sitting here. I took the baby from her and she was running after me. We got into the car and we got to the hospital. Now, supposing I didn't respond that fast, and she's a new mother, this is a new baby, she doesn't really know anything about it, the situation would have become worse and we wouldn't know where that would have ended. So when siblings have problems, how do you respond? That can create active closeness, active relationship, and then bonding. You know, I've told you, I've shared here when I repeated a class and then all my siblings say, I cannot repeat, I can't go back to that school. And they were fighting for me, you know, and it brought me so much, you know, I knew that I had people fighting for me until my mother said, you see that school, you will go back to that school and face the shame. In the shame, sit down and fight and win the battle. If we take you out of the battle, you will always meet battles along the line. Will you keep running away from it? But then there's that part that my siblings supported me. So how are we actively involved when our siblings have problems? When they have celebrations, when they're celebrating, How do you show up? Do you show up after the event is ended?
Yeah.
And then the pictures are taken, you are not available. You know, how do you show up when it has to do with issues that your siblings face?
How do you manage siblings who are so entitled? Because I know that's a problem for sure. We have siblings who say, after all, you're my blood. You are supposed to. I'm supposed to. Like you have sisters who come visit you and they feel like taking everything that belongs to you because they are your sisters and they're the younger ones. So how do you handle siblings like that?
I think all of that starts from the foundation. Growing up, how did they deal with that? You know, because you should understand where boundaries should be kept. Even though they're your siblings, where are the boundaries? You can't take everything that I own. You know, it's just like taking my toothbrush. I really need it. So why are you taking it away? So I think it starts from the foundation. Growing up, how did they deal with things? Things that they share, things that they own. Where do they place the boundaries? All of that has to do with training children. So when I see train up a child in the way he should go, it has more than just training the moral life, training their relationship, training their character, training their social life, their emotional life. All of this will come out in adulthood if it was not imprinted in their hearts when they were children.
You know, I liked it when you mentioned communication, having regular communication. In this generation now, you know, sometimes distance and everything, insecurity, going to see your siblings. Are there advices you can give for people to keep that relationship alive?
We have a bigger family WhatsApp group where everybody is there. And then we have this small amebo one for all of just, just us, the sisters. Okay. And then when something happens, we go there and we are on WhatsApp call. We can see our faces, even though we are in many parts of the world or many parts of Nigeria, you know, we can actually see our faces. Create that. WhatsApp group is important. In fact, WhatsApp is helping us. They're not paying us to advertise them, but I mean, this is the truth. So that helps. You can actually see them no matter where they are. That helps. And I also think having family meetings once in a while is important. Maybe at least have it once in a while is very important, where people come, you share your progresses, you understand the problems, how can we help? And then when siblings have challenges, coming together to support is very important. You know, it could be financially, it could be emotionally, it could be academically. When siblings come together and they can say, we are together with you, we will support you to succeed, then it will help. The bond will become stronger. And
all right, thank you so much, Nkpouto. But then, are there things you think siblings do that really disunite them? Like, is there a particular practice that you think if people keep doing, this will disintegrate the family instead of bringing or creating that bond among siblings?
One major thing is being self-centered. I have a problem. I call everybody, please come on, run, oh, I have a problem. And they come to help. When the next person has a problem, worse than my own, they are calling for you, you are not available, you are busy. So that can cause rivalry. We can just excommunicate you. Because I mean, why will you not be concerned about this person? And we all run around for you. That is unfair. So that is one thing that can really cause that rivalry, where you don't show concern when your sibling really needs your concern. I think that's a major thing. Another thing is, how do you resolve conflicts? When you are wrong, how do you know, one very difficult thing I came to understand is, I think elderly ones find it difficult to apologize to younger ones when they go wrong, which is one major thing that can also cause this rivalry. How do you handle situations when you know that you are wrong? Maybe you didn't do it purposely, but you have later discovered that you were wrong. Is it very difficult to go and say, okay, I'm sorry. Sometimes it's difficult, but being able to do that will really help to maintain that unity. And this thing we are calling siblings bonding does not remain with us. It goes beyond us to the next generations. Because the way the siblings behave, the children are watching.
Absolutely.
So when you are no longer there, what will happen?
You know, I in my family, I see my father and his sisters, distant sisters, they were quite close. But even now, like, they are no longer alive, my father and his sisters, but the relationship between us, the siblings, not that strong. So we tend to like think for ourselves, every man for himself. So I think so I just wanted to counter what you said now. So it goes beyond this, trying to do these things so that the next generation can follow up. Even though they did it, but we didn't follow up.
So I want to ask a question. While they were doing it, was there a time that you people were brought together?
Yeah.
And very often?
Not quite often, but
Okay.
they do bring together, most especially during the festive period. People do come together and celebrate, but it ends there. When everybody leaves, they tried to bring the families together, but after they left, I mean, this generation, I
So
just
is
don't
that
know.
active involvement? So when you leave, that communication is no longer there. Do you get? My family, we have age grades, whereby when you come together, there's this age grade that they have their own group. So our children have their own smaller group, the boys
Okay.
of the same age, the girls. So I believe that even if we are no longer there, they will continue it. It's my mother started it. So we continued it. And now they have, the day I saw that they have their own smaller group, that as we are doing our own small army, but they're also doing their own. I was just laughing. I said, thank God, though, that you people can actually reach out.
Yeah.
I mean, they have cousins that are not even Akwa Ibom, that are from other parts, but that closeness is still there. They still, I would remember my son the other day telling me that the cousin who is from Edo sent him some money for data and all of that. I was amazed, that they can actually talk with themselves and we are not involved. It shows that there is something going on the positive side. So I think also that active involvement, maybe your father and the siblings did their own part, but your own cousins, you did not get involved to the point of, getting to know one another, communicating with another.
And keeping that communication line active.
Yes. So that communication is very important.
Yeah, so while you were speaking, something dropped into my mind. And that is to ask if you have any advice for those persons who were not privileged to be raised in a loving home by both parents. Those who were born in broken homes, right? What advice would you have? Because most times, they get to fend for themselves, right? From childhood, struggled through life. So some siblings had to leave home earlier, maybe to go help out in, domestic jobs and all of that. And the bonding was never there from the onset. Maybe the single parent that ended up raising them also struggled through life. And up until their adulthood, there is still that relational gap. What advice would you have for such persons?
Okay, like I said earlier on, you cannot love anybody if you don't love God. So looking at that angle, the elder person can actually create something from there. When I read through the Bible, I see patterns written. Now, if you notice that a pattern was created and was not a good pattern, you can recreate your own. You can make it good. So all hope is not lost for that person that was not brought up in a family that had this bonding. You can start from where you are. You can start it with your siblings from where you are. You can tell them, okay, we passed through this through life, but we can start it over. And then you can also introduce it to your children if you have them. So I think that all hope is not lost. You can start from anywhere that you find yourself. Because I mean, if you look at life, you can't really succeed without social relationship.
Right.
Loneliness, I don't think is something that really helps. But you will notice that some things that you feel are really difficult, when you talk to people, in the process of conversation, one person can just have the solution that you've been looking for many years.
Sure.
So social relationship is very important, apart from the fact that siblings is what we are talking about. Relating with people solve problems. Trying to help other people also solve problems. So I think it's important to start wherever you find yourself.
All right, so let's talk quickly before we go. Let's talk about some of the benefits of having strong sibling relationship.
Okay. It brings about compassion, like I said before. Compassion. When that's, siblings are close, you can easily turn around and say, oh, this person needs help. So it comes naturally. It comes with empathy also. It comes with voluntary forgiveness. There are some people that might really, really, really hurt you and you don't want to forgive. But because, I mean, this is my sister, I have to let go. You let it go. So that's what sibling bonding does, some of the things that it does. And forgiveness is a thing for me because, I mean, if you do not forgive, it's like you packing garbage in your heart. Over time, it will become so dirty that it can cause something for you.
All right, thank you so much, Nkpouto, for coming on the show today. How about having good, letting go? Because some siblings can be quite tough. So at what situation or at what point would you now say, okay, let it just be? Since the sibling doesn't want to, just let it go.
And Nancy, to give context to that question, how about the scenario where a younger sibling living with the older sister snatches the older sister's husband? How does she let go? How does she forgive? Example
right?
to that question. Yes.
That's a very good question because, I mean, it has to do with emotions also. It's going to be very difficult to leave the pain, to let the pain go. The pain will keep coming, but you can actually forgive. When the pain comes, because it will be coming at intervals, you know, I want to forgive. I want to let it go. Yeah, I've married my husband, I be carry go. But over time, the pain will come. When it comes, you pray, Father, please forgive my sister. Because, I mean, the day I understood what life really meant was the day my mother drove her Camry into my house, laid down and slept, and did not wake up.
Wow.
So, I mean, you can die and leave that husband at the end of the day. Nothing really matters at the end of the day when you close your eyes in death. So I believe that there is nothing that is unforgivable. If you understand life this way, then you can forgive anything. You can forgive anybody. That does not mean that the pain will not be there. There are some pains you will actually die with, but you can actually forgive even in pains. So I think so.
Well, so you got it. I was caught there. You know, it's a tough one. You know, I read about a sister who, you know, she said she brought her sister. She caught her sister dating her husband, and then she said, "Okay, choose between me and my husband," and she went with the husband. You know, so at that point, you just
destabilize.
No. What was that word?
Sibling.
Discipline your sibling.
You know, the husband.
Yes, you have to discipline because there are some siblings that when they do things to you, we have read, we have seen, you begin to wonder, are you sure this person is my... So at that point, do you keep trying to build that relationship?
No, when I said forgive, it's not about building. We are not talking bonding again. No. Because I mean, forgiveness is not for the person that offended you. It's about you that has been offended.
To have your peace.
Yes. So there are some times that siblings can really hurt and the bonding thing does not work. The relationship doesn't work. But the forgiveness is important for you to have your peace. Knowing that at the end of the day, when you close your eyes in death, nothing else counts.
All right. Esther? I don't know, you have siblings.
Yes, I do.
How
I
many?
have
How many?
siblings. Interestingly, I have 6 siblings. They're all men. So I don't really...
Seriously, 6
yes,
brothers.
I'm the only female here. So I'm just in the world of my
And
own.
you're the first. You're the first.
I'm the last. Yeah, so we have an active WhatsApp group. We have family prayer days. Like we've been on fasting and prayer for the past, it's going to end today, 3 days. We pray, we relate a lot. Soon as you have any challenge, drop it on the platform. Before you say, Jack, somebody comes to your rescue. Yes, and it's so beautiful. That was the foundation my father actually laid. And he did that with his siblings. We saw them do that, right? My dad would go the length of sponsoring his siblings' children, that is his nieces and nephews, to my house back then in Lagos. They would stay days like camping. We got to bond, we knew ourselves so well. And there were days we also returned that visit, you know. They would take me as far as Benin, travel to Benin to stay with my uncle and my siblings. So it was very, very fantastic. He never had it that way, but he recreated his. And my siblings are continuing that as well. And I'm doing that for my children as well, and my brother's kids. So they travel to Lagos, so they're like, okay, we know our cousins by name, we know them, we have met with them, you know, and it continues.
Wow. And so do you see this happening now with this generation? Like the kids, your kids now, do you see them having that kind of bonding you have with your siblings?
Yes. A lot has really happened, particularly this generation. They have so many peculiarities. So in as much as we are siblings and then we value our nephews and nieces, we still have to exercise caution. Okay, you have to also check the values, because these are my siblings. We were all raised with the same values, still intact, still prayerful and all of that. But they are married to wives from other families who have come to inherit these values. But you never can tell the extent to which they are ready to implement what they came to meet your brother, putting on ground. So you also have to keep your eyes open and then check, so that when you find anything that isn't consistent with the values you believe in, you can correct those.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing that insight. And thank you so much, Nkpouto, for coming on the show today. We really appreciate your insight and advices. All right. That's the much you can take today. So sibling bonding is a journey and not a destination. Keep working on it. If you have those ones that gives you trouble, just keep working on it. And I'm sure you'll be amazed at the positive impact it can have on your life. So from all of us in the studio is bye-bye and thanks for watching.